And good evening, everybody, and welcome to Knockout Qualifying for our 5th race of the season at Bristol Motor Speedway. Not the Bristol you were expecting we were going to, eh? This is Bristol Dirt. We're getting ready for our first dirt track race of the season, and this is sure to be a wild one. Now, a couple of notes that I have to state before we get this Knockout Qualifying session underway. Since this is a short track, NNSCRA mandating a new rule for this weekend only that all sessions will consist of only 5 minutes. The first heat and second heat of round 1, they'll be 5 minutes apiece. Round 2 will be 5 minutes, and round 3 of qualifying will be only 5 minutes long. So these drivers are not going to have a super whole lot of time to be able to get out there, lay down their lap time to try and move into the next round, especially those drivers that are trying to qualify their way into the main event. Now, speaking of the main event, this track can only field 41 cars as opposed to the original 42 cars that we normally have each week, which means that instead of 7 non-chartered cars making the race, only 6 will be making the festivities this weekend. So keep that in mind as well. We're looking at Levi McIntire, who just clocked in the 3rd fastest time. Right now it is Elijah Gordon who is the fastest on track in the 44. Let's see if we can find him. You see all the cars line up on pit road. Several still have not yet come off pit road, and they really should, especially in those non-chartered cars. There you see Leon Alvarise. Probably be quicker to find Elijah Gordon this way. There he is, trying to get to the inside of Dillon Young. And he actually just lost the fastest lap time to Levi McIntire, who just lost it to Shaun Gallighan, who just hit the 14s, 14.979 for the 48 car. There you can see this dust and the dirt that gets kicked up here causes visibility problems, and Austin Mongold top of the leaderboard, 14.825, and just barely over Elijah Gordon's 14.837. And it's Gallighan, Garrett Sidner, Levi McIntire, the top 5, with a little less, or a little more than 2.5 minutes remaining in this session. So right now, the bubble spot driver would be the 6 car of Aaron Henderson. Stephanie Gardner on the outside looking in, and she just knocked him out, up to 12th, and now she gets knocked out. Brandon Gonzales up to 12th place. That 12th position is going to be contested quite a bit, and now Gonzales out, Alvarise in, Dillon Young there in 11th, and now Alvarise out. I think that was Zachary Stoltz jumped in. Now Dillon Young's out. They are swapping that 12th position around like crazy. Keith Batson's now up there. But right now, good shape for, wait a minute, Mongold just got beaten. Who's the top of the leaderboard? Oh, it's Levi McIntire again in the 99. Trying to look for his 2nd win of the season. But we look back down at 12th. Now it's Fitzwater's got the 12th position. Neal Balvin is on the outside looking in. And now Balvin's still out. And Stoltz is now out. And now Cody Llamas is out. Joseph Srigley in the 12th position now, with about a minute and a half remaining. And now Daniel Voyles almost gets in, 1/1000th slow. And now Srigley's out, Matthew Daleo up to 11th. That's the joy of giving these drivers less time. It gets crazy early and keeps going till the end. 1 minute 15 and counting. Right now, Leon Alvarise in the final transfer spot with a 14.956, 1/1000th behind Daleo, and now Alvarise is out. Dunham just jumped up in. Garrett Sidner now just jumped up in. And now Dunham's eliminated. Daleo's eliminated. Alvarise is eliminated. Good heavens. And Seth Cole, top of the leaderboard for the Superman Chevrolet. 14.610, the lap time he just laid down. Dillon Poteet's now up in the top 10. So is Ryan Madden, Aaron Henderson, Jessica Shelton, Daniel Voyles. And now Anthony McCrury is on the outside looking in. Circuli now holds the coveted 12th position. 20 seconds to go. Can Circuli hang on? He's only got 4 1/1000s between himself and McCrury. And now it's Gallighan that's dropped down, as now Circuli has fallen out. Now Gallighan in the bubble spot. And now he's knocked out as Cody Llamas jumped up to 11th. Now it's Aaron Henderson in the bubble spot. Now he's out. Now Llamas is out. It's Neal Balvin in the final transfer spot now. There's still time for someone to lay down a lap time to beat the 14.850 that Balvin has. Will anyone rise to the challenge, or will Balvin just barely squeak his way in? Seth Cole's no longer the fastest on track. It's now Austin Mongold in the 95. He'll transfer into the next round. 3, 2, 1. Lap times will no longer be counted. Neal Balvin gets the final transfer spot, and the 12 drivers that will transfer into the next round of qualifying will be Austin Mongold, Seth Cole, Levi McIntire, Dillon Poteet, Matthew Daleo, Elijah Gordon, Zachary Fitzwater, Ryan Madden, Jessica Shelton, Dillon Young, Daniel Voyles, and Neal Balvin. Now remember when I said at the top of the program that only 6 non-chartered cars are going to be making this race instead of the original 7? Well, out of the drivers that transferred in, 5 of them are non-chartered machines. Mongold, Cole, Daleo, Gordon, and Balvin. So, that's 5 drivers. We're definitely going to have more than 6 making it in the next round of qualifying. I can guarantee you of that. Let's look on down through the rest of the finishing results there. Second straight week, Jake Baskinger's had a poor qualifying result. As drivers that will officially not be in this race, it will include Aaron Henderson, Joshua Circuli, Garrett Sidner, Zachary Stoltz, Kat Tellier, Keith Batson, Stephanie Gardner. They will not make the main event. So let's get ready now for our second round of qualifying here at Bristol Dirt. So we'll get ready now for our second heat of our first round of qualifying and see who will move on to round number 2. Just want to remind people too that if you still wanted to sign up for this series, you are able to, as long as you picked a number that is not in use in this series. You would have to start your season off as a non-chartered car, though, which means you're basically not guaranteed getting into every race. You basically have to watch these knockout qualifying sessions to see if you qualify. First car off is going to be the rookie Dougie Shears, who had his season start off so good. And now things have seemed to taper off for him as he's failed to qualify for a number of races. He didn't qualify for Las Vegas. He didn't qualify for Atlanta. Trying to get back into the swing of things. Of course, remember his best opportunity for a win was back at Rockingham, UK, when he ended up having his engine blow up on him while leading the race. The lead then was turned over to his teammate Zachary Fitzwater, who capitalized and did pick up the victory. Dougie Shears trying to get back into a main event race, battling there with Tim Walsh. I noticed back there is our previous race winner. There he is. Charles Sandfer took the checker flag last week at Atlanta, locking himself up a spot in the chase for the championship. Now going to try and build off that, running behind James McCloud there in the 51. At this point, the fastest car on track is Jason Heywood in the 72. Then Grayson Acevedo, John Arndt, Sandfer, and Shears. That's your top 5. But much like the first session of this, or the first heat of this first round of qualifying, expect those positions to be jostled around like crazy in the next 2 minutes, 50 seconds and counting. Jason Heywood made his debut for the season last week at Atlanta. Was really, really good. Finished top 5. And now trying to make the race here at Bristol. Right now on pit road along with Nathan Hudson. So let's follow second on the charts, Grayson Acevedo, who just beat his lap time, now a 14.735. Acevedo last week lost the points lead back to Cody Llamas, but still running very strong in the standings. But obviously would not like to have to rely on consistency to get him in the chase. He'd love to be able to get a victory, and we'll see what he can do here in qualifying. Of course, oh, trouble! Pichu London around, and Zach Rogers got collected. Zack Flickinger going to get a piece of that as well as he gets held up. And everybody gets around. Oh, more trouble! JT Bryant is smoking and slow. Marty Johnson, Davey Johnson involved. There's Dallas McIntosh. London gets involved again. We've got problems here in qualifying. John Cittadino was in it. Marie Minobi was involved. Dougie Shears might have gotten a piece of it along with Jonny Gardner. And finally, I believe the track is clear. Damage on the 19 of Rocco Twyman. Joshua Michaels was collected. There's a number of damaged race cars. Now there is John Andrews in the 17. Now he was 6th on the speed charts. And the engine, I believe, has exploded on that machine. That's not good for him, because if he's going to move on to the next round of qualifying, he's got to get that thing repaired. Now, fortunately for him and a number of these drivers, that happened in the first round of qualifying. Remember back to Daytona, the ruling is that you can bring out a backup car to move into round number 2. But if you have a wreck in round 2 or round 3 and go to a backup car, well, put it this way, if in round 2 you go to a backup car and you run a faster lap time, you're not going to make the show. If you go to a backup car in round 2, you don't make the show, or you don't get the position that you were running in. We're looking at James Richardson here. Of course, started on the pole last week at Atlanta. Ended up finishing, I think it was back around 12th position. He's running very well in the point standings, having a great season. Right now he's 13th, though. He needs to get a little bit better if he's going to move into the next round of qualifying, which right now that final transfer spot is being held by Kyle Keith with a 14.958. Richardson's only 2 1,000ths off. And zeros on the clock. We now have 20 seconds of cooldown for someone to try and lay down a fast enough lap time. There you saw Kyle Keith was on pit road. Oh, that looked like some contact right there between the 15 and the 20. They keep it together, though. 3, 2, 1. Kyle Keith is going to transfer into the next round, it looks like, along with Chris Dowd. Also, Heywood, fastest in this qualifying session, will make it in, along with Brock, Acevedo, McCloud, Arndt, Andrews, Hartnett, Shears, Sandfer, and Marty Johnson. And there you go. The session is complete. And there's the cars I mentioned, along with Chris Dodd and Kyle Keith. Richardson just misses out of moving into the next round. And the drivers that officially will not be taking part in this main event include Joe Rockingham, Noah Kars, Holden Gluba, Marie Minobi, Rocco Twyman, Nathan Hudson, Davey Johnson, Zach Rogers, and Pichu London, who I think was on his first lap when he got involved in that wreck. So a 39-second lap time, didn't even get a chance to really find out what that Pennzoil Chevrolet could even do. So in this session, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drivers that are non-chartered cars moving into the next round. I believe we had 5 in the first round, or the first session of this first round. So 11 drivers will battle for 6 spots in the starting lineup for this season's race at Bristol Dirt. We'll show you again on down through 31st place. So we have our 12 drivers from our first heat, our 12 drivers from our second heat. Let's get ready now for round number 2 of qualifying. Alright then, it's time for our second round of qualifying. And right now we are in a situation where we're going to end up having a brand new pole sitter this season. So far we've had 4 races and 4 different drivers starting on the pole as Marty Johnson heads off, and right now none of those previous pole sitters made it into the next round, with the exception of Levi McIntire. So the odds are 1 in 24 that we're going to have a previous pole sitter sit on the pole once again. James Richardson just missed out. He was our Atlanta pole sitter. You've got James Qualls and Joshua Michaels. They didn't make it. Sorry if I'm being quiet. I was just taking a picture of my dog, which is so doggone cute. She's sitting on 2 laptops to look out the window. I had to take the picture of it. Sorry. So anyway, back to professionalism. So Marty Johnson trying to make it the second Joe Gibbs racing car to start on the pole position. Of course, teammate Richardson did it last week, and Marty Johnson, of course, too, trying to make the main event. Pretty much this round is going to determine what 6 drivers are moving on to the main event and which 5 drivers are going to be eliminated from racing here in this main event at Bristol Dirt, regardless of the fact that they moved into round 2. Keep in mind, it's one less spot up for grab for these drivers that are non-chartered cars, because only 41 cars are going to be driving in this main event, not 42. Oh, trouble! Mongold! Fitzwater! Matthew Daleo got a piece of it, and look out! And so that may have just ended the hopes for Austin Mongold and Zachary Fitzwater of starting up near the front. Seth Cole just came to pit road. And now it's Jessica Shelton top of the leaderboard. Now Mongold is up in the top 3, but because his car is damaged, we've got to actually watch that 95. And if they don't repair that car and he retires, then he's out of the show. Let's see if they can get that car repaired or not. Marty Johnson back top of the leaderboard, by the way, over Grayson Acevedo. Shelton now down to 3rd with 2 minutes remaining, but we're watching the 95 of Mongold because he's up in the top 5 in speed, and he has gone back behind the wall to get a backup car, which means that he will not be moving on to the next round of qualifying, and thusly will more than likely miss out on racing in the main event. Boy, this is some tight racing right here between Emmanuel Hartnett, Dougie Shears, Jessica Shelton. You had Dillon Young in this battle as well. This is Jason Heywood in the 72. They can race hard, but they got to keep it clean. Look what happened to Mongold. And Dougie Shears, Jason Heywood, their chances of making the main event could be gone if they end up doing the same thing. And up top of the leaderboard now, Elijah Gordon, 14.804 in the 14 car. Or the 44 car, I should say. There he is, battling with James McCloud. My dog is being crazy, and so I have to keep an eye on her. Hello. And now Jason Heywood, top of the leaderboard. That 72 car has been fast here tonight. He showed how fast he was at Atlanta, and he's just as fast here tonight at Bristol. Come here, you crazy dog. Give me your... Ow! He's got my skin. Ow, 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 ow. Your teeth hurt. Puppy teeth hurt, people. This just in. We got about 30 seconds remaining. And right now, Austin Mongold is in that final transfer spot. But keep in mind, he would be going to a backup machine, which means John Arndt would be the next one to move into the next round. Ow! That hurts. And now Seth Cole just knocked him out. Just knocked Austin Mongold out. So Mongold, even with going to a backup car, wouldn't make it into the next round of qualifying. Heywood still top of the leaderboard. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Zeros on the board. We now have 20 seconds of cooldown for somebody to try and lay down a lap to beat a 15.007. And knock Seth Cole out, and someone just did. I believe it was Matthew Daleo. Daleo, I believe, just knocked Seth Cole out. Indeed he did, up to 11th, and now McCloud on the bubble spot. James McCloud in the 51, and Daleo trying to keep out of everybody's way. Oh, he got the wall off the corner there. He's waiting for that timer to tick down quickly here. It's down to 3. Daleo trying to make it into the show, and it looks like he might. Session's complete. The drivers that will move into the next round of qualifying will be Jason Heywood, Elijah Gordon, Dillon Young, Marty Johnson, Dillon Poteet, Jessica Shelton, Charles Sandfer. How about those Retro Racing Enterprises cars? Fitzwater, Acevedo, Balvin, Daleo, and McCloud are going to be the ones that move into the next round. And let's see, out of those drivers, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drivers exactly. So the 6 non-charter cars that move into the final round of qualifying. By the way, there should be a rookie thing after the James McCloud. There isn't. I probably put the wrong car here into this. I'll fix that for the next round. But the 6 drivers that race their way into the next round of qualifying are the 6 non-chartered cars that will make the race. Which means Seth Cole, Austin Mongold, Dougie Shears, John Andrews, and Kyle Keith, they will not make the main event. For the other drivers, Arndt, Dodd, Voyles, Brock, Hartnett, and Ryan Madden, they will be starting fairly close to the field, but outside of the top 12, as the 12 from 12th on up will move into the final round of qualifying. We'll see who will start on the pole, and that means that, as I look at this, we will have a brand new pole sitter this season starting on point for this race at Bristol Dirt. So don't go away. Final round of qualifying comes up next. So we'll get ready here for the final round of qualifying, where we will determine who will start on the pole for this week's race at Bristol. And I actually looked back, and there were only 23 drivers that were on the round 2 qualifying list. And I thought, wait a minute, there were supposed to be 24 drivers that moved in. I looked back, Levi McIntire never turned a lap in the 99 car, so you gotta wonder if there was some mechanical problem or something that they weren't able to get him out there to be able to try and turn a lap time. So that guarantees us a brand new pole sitter this week. So far we've been 4 for 4 in different pole sitters this season, and we are guaranteed a brand new 5th pole sitter for the season. Should make next season's Sprint Unlimited very interesting, as we're looking at Grayson Acevedo, who lost the points lead last week to Cody Llamas. Would love to start on point and have a good track position to start off the Bristol race. Dillon Young trying to beat his lap time, but about a tenth slower. Shelton about 2 tenths slower. And everybody that you see in this session is going to make the race, chartered cars and non-chartered cars alike. And Dillon Young, top of the leaderboard. Where is he at? At White Deuce. There he is. So we got a couple of drivers that are going to be making their debuts. Well, actually one, I believe. Yeah, one driver will be making his Hershey's Cup Series debut, and that's the 04 of Neal Balvin. So we'll see how he does in his first ever Hershey's Cup Series points-paying race start. Dillon Young right now a 14.861. Now, we mentioned before Marty Johnson trying to capture Joe Gibbs Racing's second pole of the season. Well, Dillon Young trying to do the same thing for Young Motorsports. His teammate Levi McIntire sat on the pole for Las Vegas, and Dillon Young trying to set the white Miller Lite Deuce on the pole position here for Bristol. Nobody's been able to touch his lap time. He actually just beat his own lap time. Cuts it down to a 14.822. Nobody else has even cracked the 14s. They got a little less than 2.5 minutes to do it. Right now it would be Young, Acevedo, Shelton, Daleo. Daleo, of course, made his debut last week at Atlanta. And now he jumped up to second. He's the second driver to hit the 14s. 14.974, but still about a tenth and a half off Dillon Young's lap. McCloud now 5th and Elijah Gordon 6th. Now loses it to Marty Johnson. And now someone just jumped up in there. Who was that? Was that Jason Heywood? Jumped up to 6th. Now just got dropped to 7th. As Dillon Young works his way around Charles Sandfer, he actually just hit the 14.7s. 14.756 for Dillon Young. So somebody's got to get a really good draft lap if they're going to knock Dillon Young off the pole. Right now, Matthew Daleo trying to do that. Jessica Shelton now the third driver to hit the 14s. 14.929. 1 minute, 20 seconds remaining. Does anybody have anything for Dillon Young? And Charles Sandfer just hit the 14s, and Shelton just hit 14.8s. Those two Retro Race and Enterprises cars have been really fast here. Their teammate Kyle Matthews was not able to move on to the second round of qualifying. And little by little, Shelton keeps ticking her lap down. She just cut it down again, 14.767. That 02 car might try and start on the pole. If anybody's got anything for Dillon Young's lap, it might be Jessica Shelton. Let's follow that Tampa Bay Rays Chevrolet. Coming out of turn 2, down into 3. Last time by was about a 100th slower than her fastest lap. Let's see if she beats it this time. No, now about 2 100ths slower. So the lap times are tapering off a little bit for her. Now she's going to get in the slipstream of the 66 of Grayson Acevedo. Let's see if that helps her lap time at all. Look how the car slide there. Back end wants to step out, and no, Shelton not able to beat the lap time. About a 100th slower each lap now for the 02 car. So it looks like Dillon Young, he's going to bring that 2 car to pit road. Last thing he wants is to end up having to go to a backup car and start the rear. Oh, Shelton! Out of nowhere, 14.709. Just grabbed the pole position away from Dillon Young in the closing stages. Wow, talk about shot clock cheese. Man. And that's gonna do it. 13 seconds counting for cooldown. The session will be complete, and Jessica Shelton will start on the pole. Dillon Young will have to start on the outside of the front row, with Daleo, Sandfer, and Acevedo the top 5. Talk about an out-of-nowhere comeback. Jessica Shelton and Dillon Young will make up row 1. Daleo and Sandfer row 2. Acevedo and Heywood row 3. Fitzwater and Johnson row 4. Row 5 will be Dillon Poteet and Elijah Gordon. And then James McCloud and the debuting Neal Balvin will be row 6 for the main event. Man, great knockout qualifying session here at Bristol. Pretty glad we came here to the dirt track instead of the regular track. And it's certainly going to be a wild one. If you want to see what the full results are for the starting lineup for this race, look down in the description. It'll show you first on down through 41st. That's right, 41 cars starting this race, not 42. So thank you everybody for tuning in for this knockout qualifying session. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe, become part of the crew today. Next on tap is our points paying event, where 41 drivers will battle all together on track here at this half-mile dirt track. Sure to be a wild one. Hope you'll tune in for that. You've been watching a production of the NNSCRA Offline Racing at its best. We'll see you guys later.